Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. It's actually even more great to see all of you here. What kind of fantastic 2 days we've had so far. Artificial intelligence, digital ID, blockchain. If the forefathers of payments saw the agenda items on this year's conference, I'm guessing we would have a lot to explain. In fact, just recently, I have seen an agenda from Payments Canada's conference in 1999. And it's not even 20 years ago. And that was interesting. There was a debate if smart cards have a potential to replace cash and checks. There was a discussion how to best prepare for Y2K. And my most favorite one, there was a panel which was debating if there is a business case for commerce on the internet. I certainly hope they said yes. It's interesting to look back and see how much has changed over the last 20 years. And it's even more exciting to think about the future, to try to predict where the payments are going. And that's what we are trying to do here. Many of us are talking about artificial intelligence, about biometrics, cyborgs. The thing is, we don't really know. And we can agree that maybe artificial intelligence is the next big thing, but what does it mean? Many of you may have seen me around or may have heard me talk about this little thing Payments Canada is up to called modernization. Actually, many of you in the room are deeply involved in this work, which is transforming payments in Canada. And it is a big deal. We are building a next-generation platform for payment systems in Canada. And as far as I'm concerned, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And to do this, we have spent a lot of time exploring stakeholder requirements, thinking and making technical, detailed decisions how to build the most robust platform possible. And we have talked about it. We have talked about it bilaterally. We have talked about it at different industry forums. And we have talked about it here at this conference, yesterday at the Modernization one-on-one session. So today, I will do something slightly different. I will take you on a journey, and I will leave one challenge with you, because I want you to look into the future, to consider the art of the possible with payments. And I want you to think big, use our imagination, because this is a time, I'm pretty convinced, once we will look back and we will be proud that we were part of this. And I want us to have a little fun with it. Let's think a bit crazy, because crazy out there thinking is actually good. The most influential people in our history, like Einstein, Galileo, Musk, they were a bit crazy. Another one is Stanley Kubrick, a creator of 2001: A Space Odyssey. So tell me, how many of you have heard about this movie or at least or saw it? Put your hand up. And don't be shy. It doesn't mean you're old or anything. It means you have appreciation for a good classic movie. So 2001: A Space Odyssey is considered a sci-fi classic. And I'm very passionate about the movie. But let's be honest, it's a bit weird. But it's beside the point. So Space Odyssey was produced by Stanley Kubrick 50 years ago, in 1968. And Stanley Kubrick is considered one of the most influential people in film. And the story is a futuristic story about a voyage to Jupiter with a couple of astronauts and an ominous robot named Hal, and a lot of deep philosophical themes there. But what's really interesting to me is how well Stanley Kubrick predicted the future and the technology in the future. Early on in the movie, one of the main characters, Dr. Floyd, is actually going to a space station. And the spacecraft, the pilots are flying the spacecraft with tons of screens and buttons there. That was crazy, because the jet pilots of the time, they must have thought, this is how a cockpit looks like. It's a sea of analog dials and gauges. But today, it's pretty close. Next one is Dr. Floyd arrives at the space station, and he makes a video call. Again, 1968. I think many people thought that's not possible because we had rotary phones, and you had to wait for a line to open if you wanted to make a long-distance call. But today, not a big deal. I'm actually convinced that my 2-year-old, he will not even understand that once there was a call and you didn't see the person on the other side. This is my favorite one. 2 astronauts, as they are traveling to Jupiter, they are actually watching TV on something which really looks like a tablet. It looks like an iPad Pro. And again, they have to watch the same channel, unfortunately. But in 1968, this is how a TV looked like. It weighed 50 pounds, and it had to be connected for it to work. Today, as you know, tablets are ubiquitous. It's everywhere. And you know that banks are actually giving tablets away when you open a bank account. They were doing this with toasters in 1968. HAL 9000, thanks God, it remains a fictional character. Even though I feel that Siri can get quite cheeky these days. But Stanley Kubrick, really with HAL, he tried to predict what the artificial intelligence is about. So why does this all matter to us? When Stanley Kubrick was making the Space Odyssey, he wanted to do something different. He didn't want to follow, the traditional path of the sci-fi of the time about space travel. He wanted to think about something which is actually realistic. So he gathered a lot of technical advisors. He actually consulted more than 50 different organizations from all kinds of different fields because he really wanted to test the ideas and come up with something which is possible. So they together considered the art of the possible. And what's pretty fantastic, that they got it pretty right. So in payments, since 1968, a lot of things have happened as well. In 1968, people were getting paid by check, and they had to cash it in during business hours at the teller. The first ATM was actually introduced in 1969. And you could withdraw up to $30 at any time of the day or night. It's fantastic. 1990s, telephone banking was a big game changer. And online banking in 1996, which I still can't believe because 1996, that seems a bit early for online banking because the internet was all the dial-up and things like that. The 21st century, crazy development, e-transfer, contactless card, mobile banking, remote deposit capture, digital wallet. So the innovation started coming fast and furious. And every step was making payments easier and faster. And every innovation was removing something we call friction. However, there is still friction left. So to continue this journey of innovation and modernization, here at Payments Canada, we know we have to modernize our platform. And like Stanley Kubrick, we asked. We consulted over 100 organizations, financial institutions, large corporations, small businesses, consumers, governments. And we asked, what do you need from payments? Don't think about system. Think about what's possible. And we had a good debate about all kinds of things, digital currencies, artificial intelligence, biometrics. But one common theme we heard across from everybody was, we want to remove friction. We don't want to experience payment. So while we cannot really predict how the future of technology looks like, because we have heard here over the last 2 days that the pace of change is so quick, it's really hard for anybody to know. We know one thing. Payments will be friction-free. And what do we mean by that? Friction-free payments are fast, they are transparent, they are convenient across border, because borders don't really matter in the global economy anymore. They are accessible, they are rich with data, they are easy, they are fair from the oversight perspective, and they are leverageable. So they will form a platform for innovation. And all of those findings are actually supported by developments in other industries, developments which consumers like very much. Look at Amazon Go. It surprised me that it came so quickly, but you now can walk into a store, collect what you want, walk out without bothering through a checkout procedure. Uber Eats, you order and it appears at your doorstep. There is even a button you can put on the side of your washing machine, press it, and detergent comes next day on your doorstep. This is a one-click society. We want things very simple. We just don't want friction anymore. And we can also get inspired what's happening around the world. And especially in the front end, how we call it, or the overlay services area, there are pretty cool developments. You know, UK example of Ping It or PayM, when you can send easily money like you are sending a text. It improved actually businesses which were not really linked to payments before. M-Pesa in Kenya is something which has been used many times because it significantly improved financial inclusion. You know, for people not having access to banks, now they can store money on their cell phone accounts and transact and basically carry their little bank branch in their pocket. The one I am very much interested in Netherlands, there is this helping heart jacket. So basically, homeless people, they can wear a jacket, which is equipped with a contactless terminal, and passers-by, they donate €1 with their contactless card. And then the person can go to a local shelter and redeem the money for food or place to sleep or a shower. And this is something which is close to my heart, because this is making the world a better place. Digital technology which is improving human lives. And you know, at this conference, we introduced this concept of payments with purpose, and I think there was a fantastic discussion about it. In India, they are also moving into the friction-free, and there is a platform which is being introduced that people will be paying only with their fingerprint, so they don't need to implant a chip. They can do it just with their fingerprint. Hopefully, you know, it's not going to get compromised because you have only 10 chances to change your password. And it's not only in the front end. You know, there are also, and it's definitely less sexy, as Amanda would say, because it's the, you know, the core bridge, the highway of payments. There are also improvements on the platform level. And even little things can bring a big difference. In US, they introduced a recurring direct payment, which actually improved how charities collect their donations. In China, they opened their national ACH to, I think, 260-something organizations, which again, improved and removed friction. My favorite one again, Sweden. Sweden hasn't forgotten about batch payments, because they improved their batch payments offering to, you know, enhance reporting and basically bring new service to the corporate clients to streamline their treasury operations and bring more efficiency. So how is Canada building for this friction-free future to support these kinds of innovations and even something better? How can we help everyone in this room to consider the art of the possible with friction-free payments? It starts with the right foundation. Because even though we don't really know how the future is going to look like, the foundation has to be leverageable, as I mentioned. So we need to put something in place which will be solid for many years to come. And that's where our roadmap comes into play. And we heard today from the Bank of Canada that the LVTS is really the core system in Canadian economy. So we are starting there. We will be replacing LVTS with a new, modern, core clearing and settlement system. We have a name, Lynx. I'm very proud of the name we chose. And hopefully, that's going to be the first foundational piece, which then will be used for anything else which comes after. We will be bringing faster payments capability, because for some use cases, you really need money to move from one place to another in a matter of seconds, good funds. Like Sweden, we haven't forgotten about the workhorse of our payment system, the batch. We call it automated funds transfer. So we are enhancing it. We are making it faster, better, smarter with richer data. Security is a big focus of ours. And we will not compromise on any of the global risk standards. And last but not least, this is not a technology project. This is a business transformation. And probably even more important than the technology is the legal framework supporting all of that. And you know that we create the rules for the payments in Canada, so we will be also making sure that the policy and the rules framework is getting modernized. And all of that is on rock-solid foundation of common standards like ISO 20022 and APIs. So this is my challenge for you for today. Consider what's possible. Once this new platform is in place, what can you create in this friction-free world? And think big. Think a bit crazy. Think like Musk or Einstein or Kubrick. How will you leverage it? What kind of new product you will deliver to your clients? What kind of problem will you solve? What kind of efficiency will you bring? And think how the agenda of Payments Canada Summit will look like 20 years from now. I can't wait to hear from you. Thank you.